Hello, YouTube. This is Mahadeva, the OG Thunder Wizard. Whoops, what just happened here? All right, so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about the power and the responsibility that we have, not just as spiritual practitioners, shamans, whatever word you want to use, but as human beings. And I asked the question in this video, what are the karmic consequences for using one's power magically, shamanically, to change world events, to influence politics? But the truth of the matter is that what we're seeing right now, regardless of what you think, I'll try to stay out of particular positions, but regardless of which side of the fence you're on, if you think that you are being lied to, if you think that that society is not being told the truth, and that the political structure of the world, the monetary structure of the world's religious, social, if you believe that all of these things are off course, if you believe that that there has been an effort to keep you in the dark and manipulated and lied to, I'm going to agree with you on that. Even if you want to talk about, has there been some kind of nefarious spiritual influence on society, on politics, on the masses? I would agree with that also. But I don't think it's being done by a small group of very powerful people. I think it's being done by everybody. And one of the easiest ways to influence and manipulate people is to repeat magical phrases. When I was a born-again Christian, which was a very long time ago, but there was this thing called name it and claim it. If you wanted to be rich, you would just say you were rich, and then supposedly what happened. And if you repeated it over and over and over again, they didn't realize that they were couching it in Christian terms, but they were talking about, performing magical spells on your environment. And so if you didn't want something to be true, you didn't confess it, you confessed the opposite. But that actually works very well when it comes to manipulating the minds of the masses. All you have to do is find a word or a phrase and keep repeating it over and over and over and over again. And eventually, people will start to believe it, even if they know it's not true. This is what's called cognitive dissonance. This is the reason why, by the way. This is the reason why so many people talk about being lied to, that they're lying to us. And you even ask them why. It's really interesting. One of the most interesting things I've never seen happen, but huge chunks of the population, when you ask them about anything that requires knowledge of facts, they'll say, I think there's a lot going on that we don't know. But if you ask them what exactly are being lied to about, they can't really pinpoint it. It's just a feeling. And that in and of itself is a mind game. If somebody keeps repeating to you without even being factual, you're being lied to. They're lying to you. They're manipulating you. They're lying to you. That in itself, in and of itself, will create will create all kinds of things that, of course, politicians can use against you. So, today we're going to be talking about how can you, do you want to do something about it? I know that I do. And I'm telling you that I myself, when I do my spiritual practice every day, there's a period of time that I spend just imagining sending energy to change world events. I just started doing this again recently. I played around with it, a decade ago, and it scared me, so I stopped doing it. But we're in a crossroads, and there is a battle. There's a battle going on for the control of your perception. And the only way out of it is that we have to gain control of our own perception. We have to be able to perceive from our own abilities what is true and what is false. So in order to be able to do this kind of magic that I'm talking about, we must first also be able to take a look at ourselves. And we must be willing to change ourselves. The reason for that is everything in the external universe is your projection. Everything. And if you live in a world where evil reptilian overlords are feasting on the brains of children underneath pizza parlors, that is because you have projected that into reality. And so going out and doing what one guy did and taking guns into pizza parlors trying to find where the secret door is to find where Hillary Clinton was feasting on brains of infants, instead of doing that, you can focus your intentions and your desires for change. If you want to go to spiritual war against what you think is happening, you can use your abilities to do that. The power, in my experience, that works with that is the heart-mind. The heart-mind is in the heart center. The heart-mind and your emotions have a very strong connection. In fact, you can't separate them. In fact, it's called the heart-mind for a reason. And one of the things that what is that called again? Why do I keep forgetting the name of that thing? The law of attraction. One of the things that the law of attraction has correct is that emotions are very powerful in terms of being able to intend your reality. The problem is that the law of attraction falls into is that it thinks you can generate emotions. But you can't generate emotions that go directly against the emotions you already have. So that's why it's extremely important to learn critical thinking, to know what your emotional agendas are, your unconscious emotional agendas. The guys that stormed the Capitol were not conscious of their emotional agendas. How do I know that? Because they're ending up in prison. And anybody with two eyeballs and a brain, if they were to sit, should I storm the Capitol and attack these police officers and overthrow the election? If somebody really had, an ability to take a look at themselves and look at objective reality, they would go, that's probably not a good idea. That's probably going to land me in jail. That's probably not going to get me what I want. So why did they go ahead and do it? If I'm suggesting that the majority of them on an unconscious level knew it wasn't going to work, because they had performed this kind of magic on themselves. They had convinced themselves based on their unresolved emotional attachments. What they really wanted and what they really needed was not what they thought. They thought what they needed was to change the government towards whatever it is they believed was the right thing to do. But that's not really what they wanted. And again, how do I know that? Because they ended up in jail. They were certain. I mean, you could tell. They thought they were going to get away with it. Not only did they think they were going to get away with it consciously, they thought that they were going to be, lauded for it and maybe rewarded for it. But there was a difference between what they consciously knew and what they unconsciously knew. And the reason why they were able to delude themselves as in terms of what was going to happen was because of their unconscious emotional agendas. And I don't know, I can't get in the minds of all of them, but I would venture to guess that what many of them really wanted was that they wanted, this is going to sound strange, what they really wanted was to be loved. What they really wanted was to be heard. What they really wanted was for somebody, the feeling that somebody was standing up for them, and it was really had to do with, other things like getting mommy and daddy's love and approval. Now, they weren't consciously aware of that. But this is where the power of your emotions comes in. So what I'm saying is if you want to have the power to influence objective reality, politics, world hunger, world peace, the ecology, I don't care what your favorite cause is. You first have to know what it is that you want to achieve for yourself, what it is that you want. You have to be willing to go deep within and look at, what got me where I'm at. What things do I really want? As I've said, the way I boil everything down into the most simplest in terms of your reasons for being here is that there's two reasons for you to be here. Why are you human? Why am I here? You chose to be here for two main reasons. The first one was to become completely connected to your spiritual essence, your soul, and to follow the dictates of your soul. But first you have to become aware of that. What's blocking you between the knowledge of your soul is the heart mind. The heart mind can either be your best friend and connect you emotionally and energetically to the infinite truth of who you and what you are, which if you're able to do that, you will be able to intend unbelievable things, create unbelievable magic in the world, change your reality, change everything in external reality if you have that ability. So that's the first thing that you came here to do, was to operate from that infinity and like a laser beam continue to create the perfect reality for you to experience in three-dimensional space-time. The second thing that you're here to do is to overcome your delusions, which you also have created. And it comes down to one thing, which is following what your soul wants to do, but the way that this universe has been designed by you is that in order for it to be challenging and fun for your soul, you created these delusions, these attachments, false attachments. You don't know that they're false attachments. That's the challenge. To take a look at yourself, to first perform this magic on yourself, so that you can know, oh my God, what I really want is, I've always wanted Dad's approval. And all of this, becoming a Wall Street executive was all about really trying to get Dad's approval. And now that I realize that, I can go after what I really want to do, which is to be a ballerina, whatever it is. So this magic is very powerful, but once you tap into it, you can then look at your external world. And you can say, what is it that I feel needs to be changed about my external reality? What don't I like about this? And then you can perform very powerful magic to destroy negativity. I wear this symbol because this symbol has to do with destruction of corruption, fighting against evil. But that also, when you wear these kinds of symbols, you are asking that this same energy be applied to you. So you must purify yourself as well. So What I've been teaching lately, if you've been following the 90-day challenge here, what I've been teaching is the ability to tap into the power, the specific vibration necessary to change the external world. And I've had a couple of people contact me and said, they're very upset about things that they're seeing in politics these days. Because let's listen, without getting all bent out of shape, we are in a crossroads. We are in a very serious crossroads. The actions that we take and the actions that are taken in the United States in the government over the next, who knows for how long, but in every single moment of every day that's coming up, we are setting the stage for some very big events. Depending on which way we go, depending on which way that politics goes. And by the way, politics is completely, especially in the United States, against everything you've been told. Politics in the United States is completely malleable based on you. If you want something to happen, and if you want it bad enough, and if enough people want something, guess what? You've seen it already. Politicians will do whatever the hell it is they think that you want in order to get you to vote for them. You have the ability to completely change everything. But you have to first acknowledge what you want, and then you have to make your voice heard. So we're not here to talk about becoming a political activist, but what you do on the subtle level, the energetic level, the psychic level, is equally as important. If you walk around, if you're like a lot of people that I've listened to, who I've interacted with, who say, it's all politics, and they're both sides are evil, and you can't, you're giving up you're abdicating your responsibility. And that assumption that there's nothing you can do and they're going to do it to you actually psychically creates that. Everything is your projection. So if you're one of those people, and it's very hip, it's a very pseudo-spiritual place to be for people to say, oh, both sides are evil, and you can't trust anybody, and it's all just this, and we can't blah. I don't have anything to do with any of that. You are asking to be completely controlled and enslaved and manipulated, because that energy goes out there and they pick up on it. And so, but what you're basically saying to politicians is that, yeah, you know what, do whatever you want because I can't stop you anyway, and I don't have any power. So, do whatever you want, and you're asking to be made a victim by abdicating your responsibility. You don't want to become a lawyer, you don't want to become an activist, fine. You have a responsibility to then at least decide what you want your objective reality to be. So in order to do that, we have to tap into the heart mind. The heart mind is the most powerful energy source in the universe. Westerners think that they can intellectualize things, and the reason why I don't engage in Western magic is because Western magic is very intellectualized. And it's very arbitrary. People think if they arbitrarily think of something, if they arbitrarily imagine something, that it'll come to pass. And you can have limited success with that. And this is pretty much the same as the law of attraction. It's very intellectualized. Even though they say if you think happy thoughts, happy things will come to you. What they're really saying is that you can arbitrarily impose an emotion onto yourself, which will then charge the universe to do something. And the universe doesn't work like that. Emotions are part of it, but you can't even use emotions to affect your reality unless you know what it is you feel. And the vast majority of people, in my experience, are very unconscious about what it is they really think and want and feel. I already gave you the example. All of the people that stormed the Capitol were deluded by their own emotional unconscious agendas. they mistook what it was they really wanted. They thought they wanted to change government, but that's not what they wanted. What they really wanted was God to love them, for them to feel safe, for them to feel loved and heard. And until they become aware of what the real issues are, they won't be able to be successful in creating their environment. And they end up being used. They were pawns. They were used. And they're still being used as political pawns. So, what are some things you can do? So the first thing you can do to be able to tap into this power, to change objective reality, if you're familiar, if you're new to my channel, you can go anywhere onto YouTube, which will take you to my channel, and you can do the Hool breath. So what the Hool breath does is it gives you the ability to ground within yourself. One of the things that we need more than anything in this life is to feel empowered within ourselves. So what religion tells you is you have to placate something outside of you. Please forgive me, please bless me, please whatever it is. And that again is the recipe for having somebody manipulate and control you. It's also the recipe for being miserable. And it's very codependent. It's very psychologically unhealthy, which is why religion has always been used as a political tool. So the first thing that we need to do is be able to tap into the feeling of power, which we can then translate into self-rule, self-empowerment. So the Hool breath does that. And what that does, when you get in that posture, when you're sitting down, you got both feet on the ground, you can't see it, but I've got my hands out like I'm trying to push myself up off of a bench. I've opened my armpits a little bit and my elbows are slightly bent, as if I'm just going to push myself off of a bench. And you sit like that with your back straight and you make that Hool breath. And what you do is you imagine energy coming down through the top of your head, down into your heart mind. The reason why it comes down into the heart center and why that's so important is because this is your heart mind. In your heart mind, you have delusions, false attachments, unconscious emotional issues that you have not been able to become aware of yet. You have wounds where you have been hurt, damaged, abused, lied to, whatever it is that's happened over your life. This is where these things are lodged, because you have this power. This power of the heart mind also stops wounds from entering your heart so it won't destroy you. So in order to overcome that, you must first feel empowered within yourself. And this is what happens. So this energy comes down through the top of your head and goes into your heart center. And then what you want to do on the exhale is you want to imagine that energy coming out of your heart, down your arms, out the palms of the hands, into the earth. You also want to send it down your legs, out your feet, into the earth. And if you do that with the intention of getting rid of the emotional knots, the emotional energies that aren't serving you. Because every time that you have an unresolved emotional issue from childhood, every time that you have a delusion about what it is you want consciously that's not really what you want on your deepest unconscious level, that takes energy. So the amount of energy that's used to keep these delusions intact in an attempt to protect yourself from pain, that energy is energy that would normally go to keeping your body healthy, keeping you young, and then giving you extra power to perform magic. This is why people who have unresolved emotional issues are always tired. This is why you have people drinking alcohol, doing drugs, addicted to video games, addicted to conspiracies, addicted to social media. People are addicted to these things because they are leaking energy, because the amount of RAM inside of you that goes to keeping these issues at bay and to keep yourself deluded is energy that can be used to not only, of course, create health for yourself, but then create magic. This is why typically, traditionally, you have the wizards who live out in the mountains. They live on the edge of society. They live in the woods. They live in nature because they want to, number one, get their energy directly from nature, from spirits, from heaven, earth, sun, and moon. But they also don't want to get wrapped up in all of the nonsense that goes on with society and people, because that takes energy. They want to have access to as much of their energy as possible so that they can perform their magic. And in times past, kings, for instance, before Christianity, kings and chiefs were expected to have magical abilities. In fact, I read, some historical accounts that in Scandinavia, if there was a king or a chief or whatever, and he didn't have the ability with his shamanic power to bring the crops, the rain, whatever it was, they'd kill him. They'd definitely get rid of him, but they might even kill him. Because he was responsible. He was king because his real power was to have the ability to influence other people's ability to project. So he supposed to have this protective ability. So this is why, again, in traditional understanding, like in fairy tales, you don't have saints who are close to God. You have these people who have power, and they could be good or bad, but they had power. So this is what we're talking about. This is the power of the heart mind. This is everything that we're doing here. So the Hool breath, if you're brand new, is the first. That is the first thing that you should start practicing. And if you just did the Hool breath, it would clean things out. It'll clean out what's going on in your heart. It'll clean out attachments, delusions, energetic blockages associated with your emotional issues. It'll clean all of those things out. And then you'll have this incredible power source. So the difference between right-hand path and left-hand path is that left-hand path stuff is associated with the heart mind. Right-hand path powers is associated with the navel center. A lot of Western magicians think it's up here. This is why people want to say, how can I open my third eye? And I say, don't waste your time opening your third eye. It doesn't mean anything. Your third eye is meaningless if these other two centers aren't empowered and connected. And if you have unresolved emotional issues, if you have delusions about yourself, if you have delusions about what you think is going on in the world, and if you don't understand your connection to the eternal, and if you don't have access to that power, then your third eye is useless. You're not going to be able to see anything or make anything happen. You first must know what's going on in your lower self, and then you must be able to purify this as well. All right, so that's what we do in all this stuff. And so the Hool breath is the first thing that you need. The second thing that you're going to need in order to strengthen your nerves and your energy meridians is going to be Celestial Qigong. You can get that and the lockdown package, which is still around, but it won't be for long. You can get it at spirittao.com. You're going to need Celestial Qigong next, because that's going to give you the ability to, as I said, strengthen the meridian so that you can handle the really powerful stuff that I'm beginning to release. And then the next thing you're going to need is the Warrior 90-day challenge. We're on phase 2 right there. That is at thunderwizard.com, right? We're already on level 2 of that. Level 3, we're going to start introducing exercises that specifically manipulate the points on the arms and the hands and the body, which connect directly to and fire up the nuclear generator. And then you get all kinds of things. Now you get all kinds of physical things too. So one of the things that will start to happen is that your, what do you call that? Your metabolism will start to raise itself to a higher level. So one of the first things that happens is you start to feel an intense vibration in your body. You'll feel a lot of power in your palms and in the soles of your feet. In fact, your palms will get very soft. I mean, I lift weights almost every day, and I don't have any calluses on my, I mean, almost none. I wouldn't have any if I didn't lift at all. I wouldn't have any calluses here at all. And people tell me, you know, I've had women tell me, oh my God, your skin is so soft. It's like a baby's. It's because of all of the energy that is going through my nervous system and out, but especially in the hands and the feet. You will, you'll start to get younger because it will raise your metabolism up, and you'll have access directly to the infinite soul power that's going through you. And so you'll sometimes spontaneously work through health issues. They'll reverse themselves. Because health issues are blockages of energy, which are a result of emotional unconsciousness, things that you're not looking at and dealing with in yourself. Now bear in mind that all of these things that are working against us are things that should happen in stressful life and death situations that aren't meant to last very long. So if you're, if something really intense happens and you're taken hostage by, the neighboring tribe for a week, during that week, you need to not be breaking down and crying or flipping out. You need to be able to separate yourself consciously from your emotions until the danger is gone. But what people don't realize is that the way that they live their lives, because of the way that we have been brought up, the way that we have been programmed by our society, is that people are in a constant state of life and death struggle on an emotional level. And so continuing to deny your feelings because of the shame that's been heaped upon you, the criticism, the manipulation, the abuse, the whatever, to whatever degree you've gone through it, even just being alive in society, the way our society is, people work so hard to suppress those feelings will get lodged, and that's what people end up dying of later, whether it's cancer, or whether it's whatever it is, even stuff that people can't figure out, like fibromyalgia, and all these things are a result of all the energy that's going to keeping these emotional issues from being released so that you don't feel it. Now, if you're in a life and death situation, you can't afford to feel things, so that's a good defense mechanism. But if that's how you live your whole life, which most people are, it creates physical illness, but it also creates insanity, delusion, and all of the garbage that you see going on right now. What's happening in the world, what's happening in the United States politically, is the result of people struggling with the projection that they've created. The pandemic is a very real thing, and it is also people's externalization of their internal experience leading up to this, of being isolated, of being unseen, unheard, and now they've manifested where they can't even, this is why people can't stand the idea of wearing masks, why some people just flip out over just wearing a mask. It's just some very simple thing. It's just not that big of a deal. But people are willing to go to blows over it. People are willing to, pull out their guns and shoot people over it. Because it's symbolic. It's being silenced. And it's an externalization of that feeling they've had all their lives, that their voice doesn't matter, that nobody hears them. They're not seen, heard, or understood. They can't leave. They have to social distance. You can't touch anybody. You can't even go near your grandparents because you might kill them. You know, it's an externalization of this feeling of absolute, utter isolation. And we have expressed it physically. It's now been an externalization. So the ability to overcome all of that first comes with gaining the power, which is what the Hool breath, the celestial qigong, and the 90-day challenge do, is they give you the power to feel fully empowered within yourself, that you are the universe. You don't need anything outside of yourself. You just do those exercises and you can feel yourself connecting to infinity. You can feel yourself get the love and the nurturing that you've been wanting your whole life. You can feel the power. You can feel the ability to express yourself, to be, powerful within yourself, that nobody can influence you or change you. And that you have something of value, just your own internal experience of yourself. And you learn how to integrate yourself, how to individuate so that other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions don't affect you. You don't have to control what people say or do. Do you want all of that? So this is what all this stuff will give to you. Then, and this is what I do on a daily basis now, when I'm doing my practices and I feel the energy, I have a very specific thing that I do where I'm focusing my intention to change things on an external level. But I'm also aware, and I meditate on, what is it about me that I have created whatever's going on in the universe. All right, so if you want, I'm happy to take questions. This is a question and answer. I do have to leave here fairly quickly. So best way to interact with me is with a question. God Emperor. Yeah, he threw this out before I even started talking. He said, is there a technique you teach where could I jump into a reality where Trump won a second term? Not even going to answer that. Kiam Johnson, the movement of the mind is what okay, that's not a question. Vincent.thunderwizard.com says hi. That's his website, vincent.thunderwizard.com. By the way, if you go to the lockdown package, you can get same thing for me. He's been certified by me as an astrologer. So if you go to his website, you can get an astrology reading from him. That is in fact the technique that I use, the specific kind of teaching that I do. And God Emperor, why are you asking these questions? Have you surfed any big waves lately? I mean, are we buddies? Are we hanging out at the pub, having a beer and talking to each other? Or are you on here for a reason? Come on, man. Let's get serious here. All right, Ganunga Greg question. What is your opinion on doing both 5-element sequences that you've taught one after the other? My opinion is I wouldn't recommend that. If you're going to do both sequences in the same day, then I would do the constructive sequence in the morning, which is, if anybody, this is the first thing people should do if they're new to it, is they should work with the 5 elements in this way, which is wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. Wood, fire, earth, metal, water. If you do it in that, which is going in a clockwise fashion, that creates energy. So if somebody wants a user-friendly way to work with the elements, which are also the 5 organs, which are also the 5 emotions within the body, this can be done to balance you in a very user-friendly way. The energy will come to you in a user-friendly way. It'll make you feel powerful, make you feel safe, and that's what should be done in the morning. At night, it should be the what do I call that? The cleansing sequence, which I'm not going to give out publicly. That should be only people who are following this practice should know that, because it's very challenging. And people, who are doing it now are talking about how a lot of feelings are coming up, and they're contacting me going, what do I do with these feelings? And, it's uncomfortable, but it means you're cleansing. So you're getting to look at your delusions, your fears, your pain, all of that. And you're looking to cleanse and become clear. Come as what we do is we work to be nothing, because the real power is in nothing. So to answer your question, you shouldn't do them back to back. No, you should ideally pick one. If you want to do both in the same day, do the constructive sequence in the morning and do the cleansing sequence at night. For those who don't know, I gave out the sequence, but there's practices that you do. So there's specific postures that you do, which are extremely powerful, but there are also breaths that you do. So there's sounds that you make, and I've taught those before, and you do it in that sequence in a specific way of chanting a sound without making any sound. This is called the breath. So when I talk about the 5 element breaths, that's what I'm talking about. You want to learn about all that, you can go to the Warrior 90-Day Challenge. What else? God Emperor, question. Does every individual soul set up their universe with the same rules, or do the rules differ from universe to universe? So God Emperor, I see you on my channel a lot. I appreciate that. I'm not sure how many of my practices you actually do. I don't know if you're signed up on different levels of stuff. Those are very intellectual questions. And what does that have to do with you? Does every individual soul set up their universe with the same rules, or do the rules differ from universe to universe? That goes with your name, God Emperor. You obviously want to have control. I'm really avoiding making some psychological analysis based on your first question there. But all of that tells me that you want to have control. So let me just help you. You want to lose control. By losing control, you go back to nothing. You go to zero. You lose and get rid of your desire to be God Emperor and control. The ironic thing is, you become God Emperor when you no longer want to control. But that's because control creates specifics. Specifics are limitations, judgment. Being in emptiness means you are in pure potential and you have no judgment. You have no need to be something. You want to merge with emptiness and nothingness. That's where the real power is. In order to do that, you got to look at yourself. So again, I'm starting to have doubts that you do the work. Maybe you are, and I'm not aware of it. I don't think you and I have worked together. But this is about doing the work. All of the thought is meaningless. And even if I answered your question, it's not going to do anything for you. It doesn't help you accomplish any power. If I say to you, yes, my rules are different than your rules. No, all our rules are the same. How does that change anything for you? Unless you think by knowing the rules you'll have more control. So I want you to meditate on that. What I talked about last time is we go from nothing to something back to nothing again. So really focus on what it means to be nothing, and that nothing is pure power. So do the practice. If you're doing any of the practices, if you're doing the Hool breath, which I give away to everybody for free, go do that with the intention of turning yourself into nothing, to becoming all powerful by having no power. And then you don't need to be God Emperor anymore. All right, what else? Ed the Wave, question. What are the rules, if any, regarding exercising and eating before or after 90-day challenge exercise? Well, when I get up in the morning, the first thing that I do is I have something to eat. I have my protein drink, and I'll have a piece of fruit, something like that. And then I'll go do whatever I'm going to do. Just eat sensibly. So there aren't any big rules. You can eat, just be a normal person about it. And I exercise too. I go sometimes, most days I'll go to the gym and lift really hard, and then I'll come home and I'll do my energy work before I go to bed. I wake up in the morning, and if I go surfing or whatever I do. So I don't know. I wouldn't make the food a big deal, but Again, I don't know your specifics and I'm not a dietitian, so that's probably not a good thing for me to answer. At the way of question, how did you learn which mantras to pair with which rhythms on your healing drum music albums? I started with the mantra themselves, and for instance, like I don't think I made one. The Chamundi mantra, Ong Aing Ring Kling Chamundaya Viche, Aing Ring Kling Chamundaya Viche. I would start with that, and then I'd build rhythm around it. And there are specific Yoruba rhythms that have a specific power. So I based it on the sound and the rhythm of the chant, and then put the drums underneath to match the chanting rhythm. Jeff Greening question, teacher, the Hool breath, I feel accustomed to the energy but experience really amazing feelings sometimes. Is this the breath masters showing me new possibilities? Could very well be. The whole point of everything that I do is to connect people to the ascended masters. There's again the difference between the right hand and the left hand. The left hand path is a path of working directly with the gods and the ancestors, where the real power is. The idea is to get to the place where you can download yourself. You don't need me to tell you stuff. Eventually you get to the point where you just go into doing your energy work and they'll download into you different postures and things like that. And, this is really, what shamanism is. Jeff Greening question continued, the Hool breath feels like it itself is teaching me. I agree. That's why I tell people, now, Jeff, you understand, you've been with me for a long time, but now you understand when I say to people, if you just do the Hool breath for an hour every day, you'll get everything. I mean that very literally. And I give people that challenge. You don't think this stuff is real? Go do the Hool breath every day for an hour for 6 months. Do it for a year, and then come back and tell me that your life hasn't completely, totally changed, that your reality hasn't changed. So I'm happy to hear that you've gotten to that place. It means that you've done enough work energetically that you've opened up some of the blocks between you and your heart mind, which is your power. And so now you've got this direct connection. It's the whole point. So I'm really happy to hear that. It's encouraging to hear that. What else? Let's see, where do we go? Ed the Wave, I'm still on phase 1, not sure I'm ready for phase 2 yet. Well, there's no hurry. I mean, phase 1, if you just did phase 1 for the rest of your life, again, it'll do everything. So there's, it's better not to rush. If you don't feel you're ready, then wait. That's okay, take your time. I mean, I just picked 90 days because that's the minimum that you want to be able to get ready, and that's if somebody's already empowered within themselves. So, by the way, he's talking about the 90-day challenge there. The Tone Gainer question: if you do the spell of the 9 knots for a beneficial change of events or change in general for you and others, for example, family, should it be kept secret? Yeah. Whenever you do any major, powerful thing, even mantras, you're not supposed to tell people what your mantras are. And that's because when you tell somebody about it, your ego's involved. And so you're telling people, I'm doing this mantra, I'm doing this work. Now, I'm not saying it's a hard and fast rule, you can't tell anybody about it. But yeah, it serves you to keep this power, this is a secret, powerful thing for yourself. That in itself gives it power. So if you're doing it for other people, but if you're doing it for family, here's the thing about doing things for family. Okay, so parents are supposed to chant for their kids. They're supposed to do mantras for their kids so that their kids go to school and learn in school and are healthy and happy. That's their job. We don't really know what everybody needs, though. Once you're an adult and somebody's an adult, you can chant with the intention. The intention should be bring whatever so-and-so needs in their life. I'm wishing them love and happiness and freedom. You stay general like that, then you're staying out of it. But, like, for instance, God Emperor's question here at the beginning, he has an assumption that Trump is the best thing in the universe. He believes that Trump is assuming he's not joking, he wants Trump to be president. So when you start to make, the question is whether or not he's right about that. So when you start thinking about, I want my dad to quit his job, and I want my mom to do this, and I want my girlfriend to be more like this, then we start getting into, are you imposing your issues onto somebody else's sovereignty? So in cases like that, you keep it general. I mean, there are general things that everybody wants, that they find their highest good, that they vibrate at their healthiest, that they find happiness and love. Those are all things that everybody should have and should want. And if you focus on that, you're safe. When you start telling the universe, I want my mom to start wearing blue dresses, and I want her to start going this, and I want my girlfriend to, then you start going into trying to use it to control people. And if you happen to be right, it'll work. If you're not right, it bounces back on you, and then you have to deal with, your selfish issues that got you thinking like that. So again, I'm talking about changing world events. There are just some things that absolutely need to be done. Now, let's say, for instance, God Emperor starts doing some magic to keep Trump in office, and he starts sending that out. Now, if he's doing, the thing the way that I suggest, and he puts that intention on it, now I'm of the belief that there is a safety valve here. That what's most important is that we become conscious. So if he does that with the intention of, I want to find out what my emotional agendas are. I want to find out if I'm attached to reality or not. I want to know what my delusions and attachments are. And this is what I honestly believe is best for the world. And he's going to throw his energy into that. The caveat is that the universe, if you're off base, the universe is going, oh, so we get to now reflect this energy back on you, so you get to look at your craziness and your nonsense, which means you're going to have to deal with some difficulty, some challenges, and some pain. Now, if you're like me, I go chasing after those things because I know those things are keeping me from power. Whatever my delusions are, my pain, I chase after that. I want to be revealed of those things so I can gain power. So when I'm doing this work, I am doing it with the knowledge that even though I have a specific intent for what I think should happen in the world, I'm also aware that if that is my delusion and my projection, that will be made apparent to me, and I'll change my mind and let go because I want to change, I want to grow. So when people use this kind of magic, to bolster their delusions and their fears and their insecurities, then they're asking for a mirror to bounce that energy right back onto them. So that's okay if you're willing to do that. And I hope I answered your question there. So you're asking about doing spells for other people. So hopefully somewhere in there you heard my answer. Creative Virgo question, do you know why some raising Kundalini is dangerous or deadly? If not, skip. Creative Virgo, welcome to my channel. I know you've been around here for a while. Go on my channel and watch my videos about Kundalini. And if you don't know how to do it, learn how to search within somebody's channel. Just type in Kundalini and you'll have hours and hours of me talking about what Kundalini is and what Kundalini psychosis is and all those other things. But it's probably not what you think. Dakota Spruill question, can you talk briefly about Heimdall and the Rainbow Bridge and what it means energetically? Is it a Kundalini thing? Well, I don't talk about stuff that I don't feel confident about. And there was a while back, years ago, when I spent a lot of time thinking about Heimdall and the Rainbow Bridge. So I don't feel comfortable. I would just be making things up right now in order to sound good, and I don't want to waste your time with that. So thanks for the question. I'm not prepared to answer anything about that right now. Excuse me. Let's see. Wildfire threw down 5 pounds. Thank you. Ed the Wave. Okay, I don't know what that is. Jacko, question, would following a spiritual path lead to learning truth to reality? I would like to understand source causing my issues. That's the idea. That's the whole point of spiritual path. The universe has been set up in a really great way where it bounces carrots in front of you, and you chase after the carrot. But the idea is, as you're going after the carrot, you actually end up becoming self-aware, and exactly what you're asking about. So yeah, that's what all meditation is about. That's what all Qigong is about. My carrot is I'm all about power. So I go after energy practices which give me, energetic power. But in order to get the energy, I have to let go of my attachments and my delusions so that I have more RAM available to gain the power. And then I am happy about that. But the end result that the universe cares about is that I become more self-aware. Somebody goes after Zen meditation where they want to be at peace and that's their thing. Well, in order to do that, they have to watch their thoughts and their feelings come up, right? Somebody wants to become a healer, so they go and they practice Reiki, but in order to be able to heal effectively, they have to get themselves out of the way and they become more self-aware. That's the point of all of it. Just that's the great thing. There's so many different ways that we can become self-aware. And that's why we should go after the things selfishly that we want, because we'll be more motivated to really learn that, which means we'll be more motivated to become more self-aware. God Emperor, now we get to what your real issue is. So God Emperor, there's a reason why you call yourself God Emperor. There's a reason why you talk about ways to stay in control. You're afraid of dying. And you have to die if you want power. I mean, again, I could go off on why you like Trump. I'm not going to do that in this video. But the idea is to not come back from nothing. That's the goal. The goal is to be in nothing, which is pure power. But the thing about being in nothing is that you have all the power and you don't need anything. If you are come back from nothing and you're trying to use the power, the unconscious assumption is that you're not enough. So your need for power comes from your fear that you're not enough. I go further back, I'm going to find out you don't feel loved. I'm going to find out all kinds of things, perhaps about your childhood. So I'm telling you to focus and meditate on nothing. Now you know why. Because you're afraid of it. If you want to be a powerful being, you have to be able to look at your fears. You have to be able to live in them and not have them destroy you. So meditate on that. Lorena Greco question, I'm scared that if I do art as a career, I will end up no longer being able to enjoy painting. Forgive me, but how the hell does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. I'm not trying to judge you. It's just, do you see how strange that sounds? If I do the very thing that I enjoy, I'm afraid I won't enjoy doing what I enjoy. So I don't know what's causing that. There's something I'm not aware of underneath all of that, but we go back to the beginning. The assumption is that the thing that is most important is that you follow your soul. And if you follow your soul, you tap into this infinite power and joy, and your soul gives you everything, makes you happy. So it does. I mean, I don't know why, doing your art would make you no longer enjoy painting. It doesn't make any sense to me. So it's a fear, and you're sharing your fear. So that's good. Let me just give you kudos for that. And fears and emotions are not rational. That's okay too. So, it sounds to me like you're unconscious resistance. And we know what that is. The unconscious resistance is the desire to be loved by the world. And when we go after trying to be loved by the world, we end up miserable. But thinking we're going to be safe. This is what God Emperor doesn't realize. He thinks that he's going to be safe if he surrounds himself with limitation and power. But the more power he gets, the less connected he is and the less happy he's going to be. But if he does the very thing that he's most afraid of, he's going to get the very thing he thinks he wants. So same with you. If you go after your soul desire and you face that fear and you say, yep, that's my fear, but I'm going to do it anyway, then you get to look at what your resistance is, who you're really trying to please, how you're trying to give yourself away in order to get other people's love, as opposed to, giving to yourself and finding the self-love from within. Anyway, so what we always talk about in terms of unconscious resistance. Your fear, it's great that you're conscious of it. This is extremely important. So keep doing it and keep, facing that fear and keep doing it regardless of your feelings. And in my experience, you may go through some challenging resistance, but in my experience, the end will be far worth it. What else? Integrity is everything. Question. If you write the word question in all caps, there's a better chance I can see it. If you don't, I might miss it. What does dying in battle really mean? Is it literal? No. Watch my channel. Go on my channel again and type in dying in battle. I've got numerous videos on it. And no, it's not literal. It means just what I talked about. Dying to yourself. Dying to your self-limitation. That's what dying in battle means. Those who die in battle go to Valhalla. Those who die to their own limited self achieve enlightenment. That's all that means. Ahmed Vidal, if you have a question, write the word question. Any tips on quitting smoking, weed, and tobacco? Yes, do it. If you need help, I would recommend doing any of the Qigong, even the free stuff on this channel. I would also recommend looking into 12-step groups. I think there's Marijuana Anonymous and there's probably a Tobacco Anonymous. Get into some kind of self-help group, but just do it. That stuff is destroying your ability to get energy. It's destroying it's horrible for you. Even THC, it's not good for you. Jacko, you've been on my channel how long? What do I tell people to do if they have a question? Why aren't you doing it? Two most important things in life is to pay attention and put effort. You seriously can't pay attention and put effort to do that thing that I keep asking you to do? If you have Kundalini sickness, can you try pranayama? If you have Kundalini sickness, it means that you've got emotional stuff. You shouldn't be, you need a teacher. So if you have Kundalini sickness, you shouldn't be doing pranayama on your own. You need to find a teacher so you can heal yourself. So it means that you're out of balance psychologically, energetically, emotionally, and your nervous system is flipping out. So I don't recommend that you just try whatever. Discipline yourself, go get a teacher. I don't care if it's a yoga teacher or Qigong teacher or whatever it is, but get some instruction so you can get out of your narcissism, because that's part of Kundalini sickness is narcissism gone haywire. Jedi Black Knight question, I'm getting present to things I'm angry at. Good for you. So should I just experience it to the fullest and let it dissipate by itself? You should experience it to the fullest, and don't. It's not just like you experience it and it dissipates, because you keep creating it. Resentments are things that you invest in. So the thing to do is to invest in, why you're angry at somebody. I keep thinking about recently the guy that I helped become a famous Hollywood director, and he's never once called me and asked me to be in his movies. And I have to look at that resentment that keeps coming up. It doesn't go away on its own. You have to look at it. So this is where counseling comes in. So get a mentor, get a counselor, work through it. Get a journal and journal your anger. Look at how you created that. Why are you still holding on to something? Anger is meant to go disappear as fast as it arises. If you're holding on to it, it means that you're investing in something. There's some victim mentality there. There's some agenda that you want. People aren't doing what you want. You have to do the work. And this is why people are my apprentice. This is why people have counselors. And this is why, if people want to make a lot of ground spiritually and become a spiritual master, they're going to need some kind of teacher, mentor, counselor, something. So it's good. Jedi Black Knight, you're doing the work. So the anger is coming up. If you don't know what to do, I would start by writing what you're angry about. You can go on, here's a good one. You can go online and look for fourth step. Fourth step is about dealing with resentments. So um, go Google that and do a fourth step. And then you'll be able to let go of that energy. You'll have to feel the pain. Underneath the anger is sadness. When you get under the sadness, the disappointment, then you'll grow past it and you'll get more energy. All right, so I'm going to have to go here pretty quick. Let's see. Tone Gainer question: did I understand? So the spell won't lose its entirely effect if you share it with someone. Again, I don't know. Are you sharing it with someone to help them? I mean, are you teaching somebody a spell? Great. I mean, are you sharing it with somebody to tell somebody how cool and spiritual you are? So I didn't tell you one way or another. I didn't say it would or it wouldn't help you. I'm saying the idea is if you're doing a practice, doing a spell, you're encouraged not to go brag about it. If you're wanting to share it with somebody because you want to help them and you want to teach them, that's something else. So I think common sense, will explain it. All right, Ed the Wave question: I've struggled for a long time finding my soul desire. I kind of just gave it up and decided to work in something I don't really enjoy but feel duty bound to work in it. How do we reconcile? You don't reconcile. This is battle. You just lost the battle. You gave up. You battle to the death. Means that you're prepared to live on the street doing whatever it is you do. That's what I've done. I've never ended up on the street, but I've been prepared numerous times to go, well, if that means I end up homeless, then I'm going to go after what I want. So you gave up, Ed. You surrendered. Duty bound, that doesn't mean anything. You just think about what you said. I gave up on my eternal soul, the most important thing in the universe, because it was my duty. What kind of nonsense is that? You don't believe that. That's a lie that you told yourself so that you didn't have to face the rejection of whatever. You're afraid of some kind of rejection. That's what all resistance is about. We either go after our soul, and when we do what our soul wants, very often we'll lose family, friends, or the thought of that we'll lose family, friends, love, reputation. Your dad told you your whole life you're supposed to be an accountant and you want to be a ballerina. When you go off to be a ballerina, you're afraid you're not going to make anything and nobody will love you and people will laugh at you. You want your dad's love, if it's your dad that told you that. So you're trying to keep somebody happy and you're just not willing to deal with the fear and the pain. Because when you go after your soul desire, you're going to have to feel, I'm going against what mommy and daddy wanted and they're not going to love me and that makes me really sad. You have to go through that pain. You have to die to yourself. If you're not willing to do that, I can't help you. I wish I could make it easier. So what do you mean? You've struggled. That struggle means you're in conflict. And again, this is why I have all these services, guys. This is why I think people, if you don't know what your soul desire is, talk to me for an hour. I can help you figure it out. I keep telling you can't figure it out on your own. If you don't want to work with me, work with somebody. But the delusion that just coming onto my channel and watching my video, or maybe doing a couple of things all by yourself and not really getting with somebody and being accountable to somebody who's going to mirror back to you, you're only going to make tiny increments. So Ed the Wave, take that for what it's worth. All right, what else? So Creative Virgo, this is a question and answer. It's not really your job. I don't need you to be my assistant. I have a pretty good ability to say what I need to say or tell people what I think. This isn't the Ask Creative Virgo. I'm not trying to put you down. You want to go help people, but this isn't helpful for you. This is your codependence, your need to fix other people. This is part of your issue. Stop trying to fix everybody else and fix yourself. And if you want to start your own channel and where you give out advice, do it. I'm encouraging you to do it. But this, you're better served here thinking about how you can fix yourself. And meditate on why you need to help everybody else that's got a question. What is the need? What if you don't help them? What's going to happen to them? What's going to happen to the world if you don't fix them right now? Right? So meditate on that. What else? All right, so Vincent is talking about how he's been helped by the stuff I've taught him. And again, if you guys want to get a mantra from him, he has been trained in my specific style of Vedic astrology. So you can go to his website. Right there is his name, vincent.thunderwizard.com. Go check him out. All right, that's it for me. I got to get ready. I've got a massage coming up. I was going to go surfing today, but the surf did not cooperate. So I'm going to go get a massage anyway. Alan Jones Savage, welcome to the channel. Please write the word question if you have a question. Do me a favor, go onto my channel and type in the word demons in my channel. Learn how to search within my channel. Everybody, learn how to search within my channel. Type in whatever, there's over 1,000 videos on there. Type in whatever search term you want. I have no shortage of videos talking about demons and demon possession and exorcisms. All right, Jacko, question. I know a person interested in learning about their past lives. Any advice on how to find it? Nope. Nope. That's not really something I do. I've got nothing against it. It sounds very interesting, but no, I don't have any advice for that. All right, that's it for me, guys. I will see you whenever I see you. Have a good day, evening, whatever. Stay safe, etc., etc. Get in there and the bottom line is take responsibility. Do not abdicate your responsibility for your reality. And do not abdicate your responsibility to know what the truth is and to know what's really going on. And do not abdicate your responsibility to know what are your emotional issues surrounding your beliefs and your politics and what's going on in the world. Things aren't happening the way that you want. You can't figure out if Biden was elected or whether Trump got it stolen from him. Then get honest in yourself to find out what the hell is keeping you from finding out the truth. Look in yourself to see how you are being manipulated so that you'll never know the truth. Don't abdicate your responsibility, because then you won't be able to complain. Once you're living in a fascist dictatorship or a communist prison, whichever side of the political aisle you're afraid of, once you're in that, if you were the ones that said, oh, it's all bullshit and I can't trust anybody, and you don't take any responsibility to figure out the truth, you have only yourself to blame once you're in that hell that you've projected. You are responsible for your world. Get up off your ass and start working on it. Don't let it bring you down. All right, that's it. Alan Jones Savage gives me 300 something. I don't know what that is, but whatever it is, thank you. I hope it's a lot. Maybe I can retire on it. All right, that's it, guys. Thanks again, and I'll see you when I see you.